Back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Dardell in your afternoon drive here. Fox Sports Radio, getting you ready for the weekend. I watched almost every second of the draft last night. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little tired. But watching the NBA games and then surfing back, and you're on the clock. And one of the things that I noticed last night, later after the draft was over, was Bill Belichick was talking about a trade they made for Randy Moss. Do we have that sound? I know this is a little bit long, but this is maybe one of the best stories I've ever heard Bill Belichick talk about, and it's one of the greatest wide receivers and shows you that there's a lot more that meets the eye than just a guy catching footballs. Do we have it? No, it's not playing. All right.
Trade was a Randy Moss trade.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that was after the draft, the first day of the draft, because we've been trying to trade for Randy Moss for 2 months, literally. This was like childbirth. I mean, it took forever. And so after the first day of the draft, I talked to Mr. Davis. I said, well, are we going to make this deal or not? And he said, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it for your fourth. And so I said, well, we got to get the guy in for a physical. We can't take his contract. We're going to have to renegotiate his contract. And Mr. Davis said, well, that's your problem. If you want to trade for him, then you get it done. I said, all right. I call up Randy. Said, hey, Randy, this is Coach Belichick. Boom. Hangs up the phone. Let me try this again. Randy, it's Coach Belichick. Who is this? Who's pranking me? Who is this? Bam. Hangs up the phone. Randy, this is Coach Belichick. We traded for you. What? Is this a joke? This better not be a joke. Who is this? I said, yeah, but look, we got to get this done by tomorrow at noon. He goes, all right, what do I need to do? I said, you need to come up, take a physical, and we need to renegotiate your contract. It was by noon? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm in Houston now, but I got a plane. I'll be there. He flies, and he's there at 8 o'clock in the morning, comes in and takes the physical, you know, the old...
Yeah. Uh-huh. Make sure he's alive.
Okay, you're good. Renegotiate the contract, and we're done at 10 o'clock. And first thing he says to me is, where's the playbook?
Oh, that's awesome.
I said, well, right here. I mean, you know, we got it. Let's go. He said, okay, because when I walk out there with the first team with Brady, I got to know all the plays. I can't go out there and make mental errors and screw up. I got to know this offense. And he was smart, man. This guy was smart. And so I sat down. I watched a lot of film with him. I said, Randy, like, we never had a guy like you. I go, you know, like, on this post-safety coverage, this is awesome. He's like, on this post-safety coverage, what are you going to do? He goes, Coach, you ain't going to see any post-safety coverage against me. You're going to see cover two. We haven't seen cover two in years, right? He's like, you're going to see cover two. And he was right. And then he would say, well, here's how I'd run this route. Here's how I'd run that route. And I started thinking, like, well, we got to start giving Randy some routes that, like, if we're running this and they play cover two, how we can move him into the slot. He's like, move me into the slot. I said, yeah, so you can get in the middle and cover two. He's like, all right, good. 25 touchdowns.
Like you said, 25 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, 98 catches that first year at 30 years old for the New England Patriots with Randy Moss. So, you know, but I just loved him talking about it, you know, how Randy got himself up there, got the physical done, renegotiated the contract, all that kind of stuff. And that's just one guy. Think about you got what, 53 players on the roster. Every one of those guys, you got to do the same thing. And, A, give Belichick, credit for getting him there. B, this is everything that they do throughout the year. You were talking about how good John Lynch is with the 49ers and stuff like that.
Always doing it.
So in order to get great players and get greatness, you have to always be on top of things. I mean, and whether it's, the trade deadline or whether it's like waiver wires, whether it's draft picks, getting guys healthy. I mean, and that's the thing right now you've got in baseball is signing free agents. They've got to pass the physical. They've got to go in there. And like he was kind of joking about that they kind of give you a once over physical that was kind of a joke back in the day. Now they have to go way way deeper into these physicals and stuff like that. But just think about that with Randy Moss wanting the playbook immediately, wanting not to be embarrassed. And this guy's a future Hall of Fame wide receiver. And I know when he came into football at 21 years old, and it was kind of when Dennis Green drafted him, a lot of people were basically saying this guy's a wild card, he's a problem, he's all this kind of stuff. And I just think it's amazing. One of the greatest NFL coaches we've ever seen or been around, Bill Belichick, and he just is glowing about how amazing Randy Moss is.
The one thing I wish was illustrated more is how smart these guys are,
right,
and how much goes into the mental aspect of playing the game of football. And I wish I learned those lessons a lot earlier than what I did. And just hearing some of these college kids even talk about their offensive schemes and reading defenses and the terminology that they're using, like, it's totally next level. And the game has evolved into such a science class than it ever has before. So we got some cuts, too, from Caleb Williams when we talked to him at Walter Camp last year. And some of the stuff he was saying, even about USC, kind of rings true to what his next level is going to be. Here's Caleb telling us about adapting to Lincoln Riley's offense, even though he had him in Oklahoma, but going to USC. This is the months or maybe weeks after Caleb won the Heisman Trophy in 2023.
When I first got to OU, it took me about 2 months to get it down mentally, and then another probably month and a half to get it down to be able to go out there and play on the field. And so I wouldn't say 3 months, 3.5 months is a dumbed down offense.
No.
So I wouldn't say that. And but the coaches do a good job with explaining and describing exactly what you have in great detail. And it translates in the field. It translates on the field. When we get out there, and they're also detailed out there. They're also teaching all the way through from film to going out in the field, and then also the film sessions that we have privately with either your coach or an older guy like myself now, which is weird to say, but having film sessions, going out there and teaching it with PRP lessons, which is player run practices and things like that. Going out there, getting out there, being a QB and running the route for him, steps, how I kind of want to ran, watching in the film and doing the same thing.
How much do you do that? You get into a receiver position and actually tell a receiver, this is what I want you to do?
Actually, I do it quite often, especially if they're not getting it, or they're just missing a few things. I'll get out there and kind of demonstrate exactly what I want or how it might look, because I've had so many reps with it. I've seen just about all of the reps of either on a curl route, or you gonna go over that defender, apex player that's flying out the box, or is he staying in the box enough to just come straight down to me, things like that. Just kind of getting out there, describing it, and running the route for him sometimes.
I loved hearing that. That gave me such a new perspective on that guy, and I've always thought that as well. It's just a different perspective when you're a receiver and you're looking back at the throw than you're the quarterback and looking to the throw. And just to have that common perception and common knowledge of what you're both trying to do in certain coverages and certain looks, that is so 400 level stuff. And that's NFL stuff that they were doing at USC. So hopefully, and I think he's going to be great in that locker room with these group of guys. They also drafted Rome Odunze from Washington, one of the lead receivers, too.
Who was glowing about Caleb Williams and said, playing across the field from this guy, I know how good he is, and he couldn't wait to be a part of that.
DJ Morgan had a hell of a year last year with Justin Fields. I can't imagine that this combination would be worse. I think it's going to be much better. I'm really excited to see him go to Chicago. Also had another clip of his running ability. I think you asked him about if he likes to run the football or if he likes to just stay in the pocket. But here's Caleb on talking about his running ability. Again, this is 2023 after he won the Heisman.
I always want to throw the ball, and sometimes the routes don't, allow me to do that with, the defensive structure that they have. And, sometimes defense plays good defense sometimes. But I always go by, the perfect defense. The perfect ball beats the perfect defense. And a lot of people know who that came from. It came from Marino. He said that one. I always try and throw the ball and throw the best ball to my receivers to give them a shot, because they're out there to do that. That's their job. And my job is to take advantage of those opportunities that we get. And so, I I'd take it down a little bit, but it was a little inflated because we had a lot of 1-yarders. So my touchdown ratio to my run ratio is a lot more for rushing because we did a lot of QB sneaks on the goal line, which was fun.
I think the biggest lesson for a quarterback going into the league, whether he can run or he can't, is knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. And I think young Russell Wilson in Seattle was one of the best at it. You could go ask RG3 what he thinks about getting hit in the league. If you can take 5, 6, 7 yards and get out of bounds or slide in this league, that is so backbreaking to the defense because you now have them on tilt. What Lamar does is so second to none. Like, there's not many people that can get into open space, get skinny like he does, make his spin moves, and still be clean. Now, he did have an injury 2 years ago, but last year was just vintage Lamar. If a Caleb Williams or a Bo Nix or a Drake May or Jaden Daniels, they can get in and get first downs with their feet, but also have the knowledge to keep themselves safe and limit the amount of times they were actually hit. Like, Josh Allen has taken years off his career with as many hits.
Absolutely.
Go see
Cam Newton.
Go see Cam Newton.
Dive in head first for an extra yard.
So, like, running's great, but the best thing is to not get hit and to stay injury-free.
Tom Brady, the reason he lasted so long was he quickly learned, if I can't get there and die, I'm not going to dive. I'm just going to sit down and let him tap me. He quickly he conceded, he gave himself up. Yeah. I'm not going to try to get that extra yard because I'm more valuable to my team,
right?
Healthy than getting injured for an extra yard. I just wanted to go over. So, since 2017, man, you've been going after these quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky, then Justin Fields, now Caleb Williams. And a lot of pressure on these guys because I don't want to say failures. These guys are good quarterbacks. You didn't have a lot surrounding either one of them.
I was just going to say, name me the receivers and the head coaches in that
The Bears, they have to stay with the head coach and offensive coordinator, and they got to get some support around this guy because he can't do it all himself. Yeah. And I feel bad for Justin Fields. This guy was kind of on his own. You're kind of like, oh, this guy's a mobile quarterback. Yeah, he can't strive. It's the same thing you got going on in Arizona with all these guys and Kyler Murray the last couple of years. You can't do it by yourself, especially if you're an undersized guy. I thought the thing that was telling was when you saw who's the second kid, Daniels, was picked. He hugged Caleb Williams, and he dwarfs him. That guy's huge. Yeah. Drake May's 6'4.5". I mean, some of these quarterbacks, man, you want them to be a little bit bigger and maybe take more abuse. So if you don't protect them, they're not going to be around long enough to make you a winning franchise.
I do like the Jets getting Olu last night. There's a little protection for you, something that they definitely need. And a top spot, too. Like, he was one of the best in the position category where they had. So, and the Jets, you got to hand it to the Jets in the last 2 or 3 years. Like, they've drafted really well. Giants have drafted decent. Like, we've liked some of these Giant drafts as well. I'm hoping this Malik Neighbors can really produce for them right away. I know he can, but
like you said, who's the quarterback going to be?
It's a two-way street, man. You can't do it by yourself as a wide receiver. And he'll need help as well. Like, putting a great wide receiver on your roster, I hear you. Great. But if he's the only option, the only guy, he's going to get locked up in the NFL. You can do that in college. You can definitely do that in high school. But you need complementary pieces to take the attention away every now and then. Giants got a long way to go. Jets still got a long way to go. You said the Patriots got 2 tonight. They're number 2 pick on the board.
They've got the number 2 pick coming out. The Bills have the number 1 pick coming out here in the second round.
Expect some Drake May help here coming up for the New England Patriots. That's what I would say.
I mean, Zach Wilson, he doesn't get any slack here. He goes to Denver, and Jarrett Stidham is already there. These are first-round picks of the Jets and the Patriots in years past. And now Bo Nix comes in, and the one thing, the story last night was he had a pro day after his pro day with the Broncos where nobody saw this, and they had given him a bunch of plays from the playbook to learn overnight. Came in, you did a great job of handling the information that he was given and running the plays, and that's one of the things that sold the Broncos on Bo Nix was that he, like you said, he's smart. He's one of the oldest and most experienced quarterbacks here in the draft. I'm looking at some of these guys. They're 23, 24-year-old. They're grown men.
Yeah.
It's no longer 2021 coming into the league. It's 23, 24 coming into the league since COVID.
I think Bo Nix is going to work out. I know Zach Wilson's there. Listen, we say this every year. Week 6, we're going to be talking about the Zach Wilsons of the world getting starts. This league is going to hurt these guys. You gotta know going into an NFL season, whether you're a head coach or even one of these quarterbacks, that you're going to be fortunate to get through the regular season with the same starter at quarterback. Fortunate. It is so hard to stay healthy at that position in this league where bigger, stronger, faster on the outside. These guys, as much as rules you want to put in, these guys are breaking down without even getting touched. Nobody even hit Aaron Rodgers. So it's great to have some backup options. I don't know if I'd use the 8th pick overall for a backup option, but it's good to have some backup options.
All right, we'll talk about some of the best picks and worst picks a little bit later on in the show. We'll come back to the first Sibs question of the day. And don't forget, Mike Petraglia, Trags, from CLNS will join us. He'll go over some of these picks, especially in the Bengals division.
What are the Bengals doing?
Exactly. So you've got the AFC North. We'll talk about that with Mike Petraglia coming back. And also the Patriots and the pick that they just made, Drake May, at their number 1 quarterback position. So we'll stay tuned for that. It's the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive on Fox Sports Radio.